Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Russell Aaron, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. Hello, Old School Fun is back. The Plaza is open. How is everybody doing today?
Love the enthusiasm. You're right. Old School Fun is back, and it has been a week, and a very good week at that. I want to say primarily thank you to our team. Thank you to the team that's been here every day. It was definitely not 100% normal coming back, and for people to come back and to mask up and to sanitize up and to lather up their hands and get back to work was great to see, and everybody did a great job. I think the new normal is getting good feedback on your social distancing, and we've received a lot of that. People grateful for the steps we've taken and how seriously we've taken it, and it's been slow, it's been steady, it's been a little better than I expected, which is wonderful. It's much better than being closed. It gives us something to build on and to ramp up to, and it's been a great week. I feel pretty lucky with the team we have that everyone's done their part, and so thank you, Lisa, thank you, Gary. And to the entire team, thank you, everyone, for the hard work that's gotten us through a difficult time, and we survived it. Somebody wrote, some nasty things were said on social media about places not surviving it, and I feel lucky that we did. So we're back, and we're building, and things are looking very much up. So much so that Oscars will be opening next Thursday, which I'm very excited about. June 18th. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I have to say the actual date. June 18th. 5 p.m. Join me for a martini and Oscars. Our table games have ramped up. We now have all of our games back, with the exception of craps, which was a little bit of a mess in terms of getting reopened. So we're working on that. And
we do have electronic craps.
We do have electronic craps. Thank you. Not the same, but an option. We do have our single zero roulette moved into the main pit, which is a big deal because I think everybody always said, well, we want to play that, but the party pit's only nighttime, so that's been there since yesterday, and a lot of great feedback on the single zero roulette already. We had some people from the Strip yesterday that I met that came down to play it, and we have a new Mexican restaurant. Zabas has not come back from the pandemic, but we have a new Mexican restaurant in the same location, and it is delicious.
I just had it for lunch. It's delish. The
Oscars chef created a Mexican concept. We hired a great team, and I encourage everybody to come and try the new Mexican concept at the Plaza because it is delicious.
Yeah, so that means everything will be open at the Plaza by June 18th. So the pool's open daily. All of our restaurants are open, so it's definitely very exciting. And I know from a team member perspective, just talking to all the team members coming on the property over the last week, everybody is really excited to be back on board and ready to get back to work, even if, a couple extra times washing their hands and a couple extra masks, but everybody's definitely excited to be here.
Yeah, and along those lines of everything's back, one thing that I've become known for are my fireworks, and we will be doing July 4th fireworks.
Yeah. Is that breaking news? Is that breaking news? I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
Breaking news.
The event obviously won't be the event up at the pool, but it will shut down Main Street. Everyone will come out, watch fireworks if they wish to. It's celebrate July 4th as we should. So I couldn't give up an opportunity to celebrate with fireworks, and that's kind of what I'm thinking of as our, I don't want to say grand reopening because I don't think you have a grand reopening from a pandemic, but it'll be the first full month of having all of our hotel rooms back, having Oscars fully open, Hash House not on restricted hours, all of the craps and carnival games back. We're getting more experience with cleaning chips, cleaning cards. So that's something we're working on. But by July, we'll have all of our table games and carnival games back open. So that'll be the first. We'll have our comedy club coming back in July.
Yeah.
So we will be slowly but surely ramping up. And that feels like the time when we'll be almost back to.
That's also breaking news, comedy coming back in July.
Yes. Yeah, that obviously assumes that we're allowed to go back to the showroom.
Is that still part of it? Is like the showroom still part of the large gathering kind of?
Correct.
aspect?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what time will we be having the fireworks on July 4th? Do you have
10 p.m.
10 p.m.?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I'll be here.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
So speaking of breaking news and sharing information, where do you guys get your news about Vegas and what's going on?
I mean, you're looking at him. He's right here. You know, like if you need somebody tapped into the economy, who's better than the CEO of a Vegas corporation or casino? You know.
Thank you, Russ. That's very kind.
You're welcome.
You know, not because he's coming on the show, but I follow Vital Vegas. I find no doubt you get a lot of I don't say rumors, but they're rumors and they're not necessarily turning out to be true. But oftentimes when there's smoke, there's fire. And, you know, he's been pretty reliable over the years in terms of some of the news he shared. But on a daily basis, if you just want to hear about general goings-ons, happenings, it's pretty useful. Obviously, we have our own PR team who gives us a lot of our information. But in terms of social media, he's been the guy, and not just recently, but for a couple of years now, that I've found to be the most useful to listen to. What about you, Gary?
It's only Vital Vegas. I follow two people on Twitter, and one of them is Vital Vegas.
Who is the other one? Who's the other one?
It's Plaza Hotel Casino.
What about Occams?
Yeah, what about Occams? You know, I have a
Listen,
Twitter, man.
you know,
Lisa's got a Twitter. You can tweet the CEO, by the way. You should at least have 6.
I just reactivated my Twitter for the first time in 10 years, okay? So give me some time to catch up.
What's your handle so we can follow you?
G Vickery.
He's just going to be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to follow that.
We are joined today by a lover of all things Las Vegas, Scott Roeben, a.k.a. Vital Vegas. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street.
Oh, my God. You have no idea how excited I am to be here. By far, my favorite casino podcast in the world.
Ooh.
I love this.
We're world
I love
famous
this
now.
podcast,
I love it.
And I'm honored to be here. I love listening. The minute it goes live, I jump on it and listen to get all the inside scoop. Everybody should do it, but I'm glad not everybody's doing it because not everybody would do it this well or as seriously. And quite often, I'm pretty sure even if casinos did it, they wouldn't have the CEO on their podcast. So that's very special as well.
Are you listening on Spotify or iTunes? Because, you know, I have to report numbers, and, you know, the guy who wants numbers is right there. So iTunes or Spotify?
It is iTunes.
All right, good
Yes.
to know.
That's where I like to listen to them, too.
It is a very select group of podcasts that I listen to, many about Vegas, and it is on the short list. So I didn't ask you if I could give you compliments, but I'm pretty sure it's okay. But I genuinely like it and enjoy it. I would be on whether I liked it or not because I like attention. But I just think you do a great job. It's consistently informative. There's a lot of transparency, and you know everybody's very real. But to Jonathan's credit, he is on here sharing stuff that typically, if you ask anybody in the hotel business that kind of question, they'll say no comment. It's insights into the business, especially during a very tricky time to be that transparent. But, you know, I just really enjoy it and wanted to say that up front.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm
I
a fan.
appreciate that. That's nice. And that's why we did it, to be transparent, to share. And also, like you said, more people should do it. Share the information because people actually appreciate it. The amount of people that write back and say, wow, I learned something new, or I want to come check out this or that you talked about. Everyone should be doing it. I absolutely agree. I want to ask you a question to start this off, because Lisa introduced you as a lover of all things Vegas, which I don't know where you came up with that, but I like it. Lover of all things Vegas.
That's my new tagline. Thank you.
I pulled it from your website.
Oh, it was on your
that's
website?
I'm a genius.
Why are you, why, how, when did you become a lover of all things Vegas?
So it's a long story. I'll give you the shortened version. I was living in L.A. I was a failed screenwriter. I was working at the Writers Guild of America. My sister moved to Vegas and pumped out probably 9 or 10 kids. I've lost track at this point. So I came to visit her. I had stopped at one point going from east to west and stopped at the Stardust, my first casino. But when I visited my sister, I realized how much I loved everything about it, including the weather. And a lot of people have challenges with that, but I kind of liked it. And so I moved, and then it was just a love affair from then on.
When was this? What year was this?
Oh,
You just mentioned the Stardust.
I have it in my phone. It's probably 20 years ago now. Was when I first visited, and then probably 15 or 16 I've been living here. And I started doing some copywriting for LasVegas.com. I did the blog for Caesars and ended up doing Vital Vegas after that. Thank you for asking.
Do you remember the first time you met Jonathan?
He was probably slagging me off about the Las Vegas club. Would be my recollection.
No,
Ooh.
I don't remember. But I don't remember that first interaction or what it. I tend
Maybe
to
a
meet
better
people.
question. Maybe a better question though is really when did you fall in love with downtown? Why downtown? I mean, you love the city and everything, but you got a special focus on downtown. I'm a downtown guy, obviously, and I can tell my story of why I'm downtown. But for you, what was the moment when you're like, yeah, this downtown's got something special?
Yeah, I'd be curious about yours too, but I guess I'd go with I'm cheap. So that I like the value, you know, that's the focus. I'm not a big show person, and people always ask like, what do you like more, the strip or downtown? I'm like, it's not about liking one more. It's just what are you more into? Are you more into gambling than Cirque?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm more into gambling. Are you more into less expensive drinks, or are you more into lavish pools? You know, there are decent pools downtown, but it's not a showcase for pool experiences, really. It's not day club, nightclub. That kind of stuff is just stuff I don't like.
It's changing as I point across the street
Yes,
here.
across the street, it will be very pool focused. But it really comes down to, I like downtown. It's one of the reasons I got a job down here at Fremont Street Experience. I'm not working there anymore, but that was one of the reasons that I got that gig, was because I love a lot about it. I'm lazy. If I want to walk to a different casino, I don't want to have to call an Uber. I want to fall out of
You don't want to
Fort
have to walk
Queens,
a
and I want to
block or
be in the
whatever,
D.
yeah.
Right. And if I'm in the Golden Gate and I want to drunkenly stumble across the street to Plaza, which I've done occasionally, I don't want to have to travel. I like how everything's compact, and I don't miss the things that downtown doesn't have. Essentially, is a lot of that stuff is just not the part of Vegas that's my favorite part, and downtown has a lot of my favorite parts. So that's really it.
I would even like to add that, so I grew up north in Reno, and so same thing. They don't have shows or cirques, and they don't have water fountains out front and escalators getting you into a mall. It was really just casino and gambling and having a lot of fun, and that's why I like coming downtown. Is I don't recognize having to stand in line and go into a thing. I want to roll in, get my drink, and cash in my check, get my drink tokens, and go have a good night. And
Exactly.
maybe lose $100 in single zero roulette. That's all
Yes.
I'm saying.
But that $100, rather than going in 5 minutes, you can go an hour.
Yeah.
So I want to do more of the things I love. So I come downtown to do that, because that same $100 bill for drinking, eating, and gambling is I would say double the value
Scott,
in a lot of cases.
let me say, I always thought that maybe you just gambled and drank because it was part of Vital Vegas's getting out and exploring
Part
things.
of his brand.
But I'm starting to believe that you might actually really be into these things. You might do it actually more for fun than you do it for the blog, and the blog's like a byproduct of your degeneracy, which I like.
Oh, well, thank you. And now I am a full-time blogger. I have left Fremont Street Experience. It was a great job. That's the way I've gotten to know a lot of folks downtown. And that might have even been the context of our meeting. It's kind of hanging out down here, and it's all, I wouldn't say a big happy family, but it's certainly a family. But now I'm doing this full time, so I will be stirring up.
Hold on. We'll get back to how I'll tell everyone how we met, because I do know.
Oh.
But do you gamble and drink because it's good for the blog, or do you do it because Scott likes to gamble and drink?
The only there are things I do for the blog. So when I go to a show that I wouldn't typically go to, I'm doing that so that I can share my opinions. For the most part, my life is gambling, eating, and drinking. So the blog is a way to show that off. It's also a way to show off my photography and videography and to tell jokes. But for the most part, the blog isn't driving anything. It's a sharing of my experiences so that other people can enjoy the things that I enjoy. I want to point them toward the things I like. I want to steer them away from the stuff that's a waste of money or time. But ultimately, it's a reflection of the things that I like to do. It would be strange for me because I've heard people, we've been to workshops where it's like, I want to do a blog to make money.
Yeah.
Or I want, they have
the
a very
goal
different
is
idea.
to have 10 grand in like 3 months. And it's like, you don't understand, like there's a lot to build in 3 months. You're not just going to have a subscriber list like that, you know?
And you really have to wake up excited about what you're doing to blog about it to make it interesting. So if I were going to do a blog, I would do like medical equipment for money, because you sell one x-ray machine and you got to, that's your all you need for the year. But in my case, it's the fun drives the blog and the whatever else, the YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, all that stuff. It has evolved slightly because Twitter has become its own kind of beast beyond the blog. But I genuinely like the casino culture, and I genuinely like gambling and drinking. I have to eat in between to survive, to be able to do those other things, but it's really a gambling and drinking driven
Here's how we'll figure out whether you have a problem or not. Were you having withdrawal symptoms during the pandemic for gambling and drinking?
Well, I will answer cautiously because I've been accused of having a gambling and drinking problem. And in my world, had I had that really kind of frenzied withdrawal, I feel like that would be confirming that. I missed it a lot. I missed this. I missed human interaction, talking to friends, drinking with friends. But you can gamble online. So if you have a hankering for gambling, if that's your thing and you can't stand to not gamble, you probably do have a gambling problem.
Scott, I got a quote for you.
Yes.
It's a very famous soccer player. I'll tailor it a little bit for you, but this should be your tagline. I spent all my money on gambling and drinking. The rest I squandered. There's
exactly right.
There's your quote.
Yeah, that's if that's all the only way I spend my money, I'm good. But yeah, I missed it a lot. I missed the sounds. I missed the smells. And one of the things that came up during that shutdown was I started missing the things I hate. That's how I knew it was bad, because all the things that I complain about, resort fees and CNF charges, and venue fees, paper straws, cigar smoke, I cannot wait to smell a cigar in a casino. I don't know what happened, and I'm sure it'll pass, but all those things I have hated, I truly missed. And it was just so great to just step back into a casino again and have the lights and the noise and the drunken idiots at the end of the bar, loud talking, like all that stuff. I truly missed.
And since we've been open just over a week now, you've been out every night to a different casino. Your first one, you were at the opening downtown, I assume.
Yep.
And then you just bounced around from there, basically.
Yeah, at 12:01, I had a major medical episode. I was in the emergency room that morning from about midnight till 5 in the morning. I got out of the hospital and immediately came downtown because they were opening at 12:01. So I was not going to let agonizing pain stop me. And yeah, I've been just bopping around to gamble and drink, but also just to see what everybody's doing in terms of the protocols and what's different between casinos and which casinos have plexiglass, which ones don't, what policies, who's doing a temperature check, how they're doing it. So a lot of that's just very practical, kind of wanting to test the waters to see what everybody's doing.
I mean, so many people want to know too, and you've always shared your thoughts and opinions, and that's something that just, it would be dumb not to cover it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I missed it, but also just a practical matter. I think people want to know, how is my casino experience going to be different? Is it going to be less fun? Is it going to be less carefree? Am I still going to be able to do the stuff that I want to do? Some of these places, they're as you know, the restaurants haven't all open. So at some of these resorts, some of your favorite restaurants, they're not happening.
Yeah.
So you're having to figure out, so during my visit, how am I going to be disappointed if I'm going to be disappointed? And how, in my world, it's not much is affected, because if you don't go to shows, you don't miss shows. If you don't go to day clubs, you don't miss day clubs. So those things that are missing, they're not missing to me. You still got a restaurant, you still got a bar, and you still got Wheel of Fortune. So I'm good.
And the feedback that you've heard from people is, are people missing things? Are they relatively happy with their experiences? For us, a good review now is, I felt that they took their safety precautions, the social distancing precautions well. That's good. That's a good review now.
Yeah.
in terms of what you're hearing, is that people are enjoying Vegas, or they're still missing things, or
Yeah,
what's the
I think
consensus?
there is a level of frustration that it's the communication isn't great. So a lot of places are not communicating what's happening when things close. I went to, am I allowed to mention other casinos?
Oh,
on
yeah,
here?
absolutely.
I went to Sahara and I was having so much fun. I love their lounge. You know, I
Were you at
just really
Casbah?
enjoy the place. Yeah, Casper Lounge.
Cool.
And I was like, well, I gotta eat sometime. I can't, you can't live on Captain Morgan. Everything was closed at 7:30, so that's a really important piece of information to convey to a customer. And I think people understand certain things are not going to be open, but you don't want to be stuck somewhere with nothing to eat. It's part of that's the reason you have restaurants in a casino, is so your customer doesn't have to leave to go eat. So
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is big. And even with the big resorts, half their restaurants will be closed. So you realize, well, I got a choice between pizza and, you kind of want to know what your options are. And so, but for the most part, people are doing the things they love. I think they are planning ahead. It's a lot of people have a lot of opinions, even though they haven't been here yet. So
Absolutely.
they're speaking to.
By the way, you don't need to qualify that. Just a lot of people have a lot of opinions.
It's true, but they're jumping to conclusions about what their experience is going to be like before they sit down to do it. A lot of people are just like, I'm not coming back while casino employees have masks. That's just a straight up.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back. It's not about safety. It's just that's not the Vegas I know. And I'm like, it's 2 minutes to adjust, and you're having just as much fun.
Yeah.
And you're joking about the masks. It's part of the experience now. Go find a dealer or a bartender or somebody and just chat them up about it. And to me, it adds to the experience.
You get
It's
to
not-
know people because like they're wearing a face mask that identifies who they are. They have like a football team or they have something like that, and you get to bond over something like that. Use it as a conversation piece, not a thing to say I don't want to do it because of it.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest downside of masks, I think, is it's just this little nagging reminder that something's happening, that you should be concerned about. And that's probably not bad, but that's not the Vegas experience. The Vegas experience is carefree. I'm going to do stuff I'm going to hook up with a stranger. I'm going to commingle. I'm going to, there's a lot of stuff that you just don't want to be reminded about it. But I think at this point, you got to kind of be a little careful. And it's a good little reminder of like, be carefree, but not completely, like no recklessness. We don't need that kind of stigma attached to Vegas.
Absolutely. I was hoping we could stay away from coronavirus and pandemics and shutdowns, because everyone's beaten that story to a pulp at this point. I mean,
the show?
Well, no, I mean, I knew
Just in
we were
general.
going to stay away from it forever, but I don't want to talk about it for the full.
No, I
for the
agree.
for
But
the full
it's
show. I mean,
definitely it is derailed all the normal conversation. And I'm actually concerned by that, because in my blog, I don't want to be doing posts about that every time I'm doing a post, and I don't want to tweet about that anymore, because it's a cluster.
And everyone thinks they're an epidemiologist at this point. No one even knew what an epidemiologist was 4 months ago, and now everyone's one of them.
Yes.
An expert in.
Yeah,
in,
like
in
you
the
said,
field.
it's a lot of opinions, and in the social media world, it has become the overriding conversation, and it ain't fun.
I think the ultimate thing that's worth talking about, not right now, but long term, is how long will we be having these conversations for? How long is it going to be a part of our lives? Is it 6 months? Is it 4 years? You hear all different things from different experts, and that's the scary / interesting part of this, is how long will people still be talking about plexiglass and masks and sanitizer and potentially other spikes and things like that. That's the part that I'm.
Is that a concern that you have? Is that something you watch every day, Jonathan? I mean, obviously you watch the news and it's business and stuff, but I mean, you have a vested interest in keeping people having fun in here. So,
Right.
Is that something that you're focusing on every day now?
I wouldn't say focusing on every day, because it's somewhat out of my control, but we are talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a part of our daily conversations of, is this a 6 month thing? How long are we going to have to test people for? How long is all these protocols going to be in place for? Is it, no one really knows. That's the truth. And then you look at, I was in a meeting yesterday, and one guy told me he thinks it's a 3 to 4 year problem in terms of solving for it. So that conversation is just, scary and a little crazy, because you don't want to be having those conversations. Like Scott said, we are here as hotel and casinos to provide escape, fun, and holidays.
Yeah, and in my world, it's odd because you want to move on and talk about other things, but I've actually taken heat that it's like, why are you posting pictures of the Bellagio Conservatory in the middle of a pandemic? So it's almost like you want to move on and you want to talk about the normal stuff, but everything seems trivial to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm just going to do what I do. I'm still going to talk. I'm still going to share pictures of Wheel of Fortune. It's just me and the machine. I don't need to mask with the machine, so I'm not overly concerned about it.
How do you choose what to tweet about or write about? And do you have insiders at different casinos giving you tips?
Yeah, whatever stirs up the most. I am sparking conversation. I'm sharing things that I think will be of interest. If you're talking about like how do I decide, like say a rumor, if I share it as opposed to not sharing a rumor, it really is just the only real measurement is, do I think people will find this interesting, and will it provide value? That's my ultimate goal. It's like this show. It's like every blog. It's that priority is, will somebody like it? Will they share it? And will they get value out of it?
Do you see yourself as like a news outlet?
Well, there's news. I don't see myself as a journalist. I guess there are, citizen journalists. There are stories that I have and have broken. But I can't say that I went and did all the journalistic stuff you're supposed to do, like
get sources,
verifying
fact
crap.
check.
Yeah, no, I don't got time for all that. I think I'm going to be doing more of that because now that I'm doing it full time,
You have a vested interest in it.
yeah, and it's more, I just have time to do it. Like a lot of times I won't, if I get a tip from somebody, I don't have an afternoon to sort it out like a traditional journalist would. And so I preface it with this, just a rumor. You take it, leave it. I'm not predicting the future. I'm not saying it's going to pan out. It's interesting. And as my sources have gotten better, the reliability of the information has gotten much, much better. I still occasionally get it wrong because they get it wrong. They misheard something. They didn't understand it.
Hey, by the way, things change.
And things change. That's a big one. That I take because an example was the reopening of the casinos in that timeline. Right, very early on. I got a schedule that was bleak. It was not good. It was like things opening in 2021. So I shared it. I'm like, this is the worst case scenario, tentative timeline. And people are still coming back going, I thought you said Aria was going to open June 1st. And I'm like, things change. Every day.
Someone showed them how to bookmark that in their browser, so they just keep coming back to see if you update the post. But they don't know that's not how Twitter works. Yeah. So.
And they think I delete stuff that's wrong. I'm like, why would I do that? Oh, there's no right or wrong. It was a rumor. I found it interesting, and a lot of times it's right.
You said your sources have gotten better. What's interesting about Scott here is a couple of months ago, I mean, I had people that I know that I'm friends with being like, do you know this Vital Vegas guy? And they're major casino guys and on the Strip and other properties, and they're all following him.
People know who you are,
taking interest in him. And do they reach out to you and say like, "Hey, I can share information"? With
I was just thinking that. Or do you reach out to people and be like, "Hey, I'm wondering like if this is a thing"?
Yeah, there are go-to people at all the companies. There are occasionally people surprisingly high up in these companies who do reach out. They tend to do it through representatives because with public companies, you can't be like feeding information that could affect the stock market. Mm-hmm. And I was just on Fox Business News, as I'm happy to talk about a lot. And the woman, the host of the show said, when you did this post about occupancy on the Strip, the market moved. So that's absolutely horrifying to me. But those folks know that they can't do that,
right.
Because they don't know if I own stock. They don't want to be seen as manipulating the market or influencing analysts, because that's a weird group of people that started following me, financial analysts. But for the most part, it's every level. It is people in housekeeping. It's valets. It's CEOs. It is at every level. It's presidents, vice presidents. Occasionally will send me things of interest. Sometimes they're trying to promote something. I tend to not share that unless it's just inherently interesting. But I like this stuff where There were 3 people in a room. Those 3 people knew that casino was being sold, and one of them will contact me. I think it should be horrifying for them, because there's only 3 people in that room, and if somebody's going to get caught, all 3 people are looking at each other going, "Was that you?"
Jonathan, do you give tips to Scott?
Ooh.
I probably have reached. I think that's how. So I knew of you obviously a long time before, back to when the Las Vegas club was being sold, and you had some inside scoop, and it wasn't from me, that's for sure. So I know where that was coming from. But the
you knew.
Yeah, wait, what was the
what was
inside
that?
scoop?
he knew it was being sold.
How many people were in that room?
He broke the news that it was being sold before
Yeah, there
anyone
weren't a
else
lot
knew
of
it was-
people in the room.
There
but
weren't many people that knew it was being sold, so he knew it was being sold. But that's okay.
I hate when I hear about people getting in trouble, because there are times when I'm like, somebody's really going out on a limb. I can't be responsible for the trouble they get into, but I do tell them, like, are you sure this is okay to share? Because casino sales are a big freaking deal. Like, there's millions of dollars involved.
That was
thousands of
5 years
jobs.
ago, and a lot's changed since then when the Las Vegas club was sold. But to answer your question, I'd probably reach out to Scott with a couple of things. I don't know anything earth-shattering, but yeah, absolutely. Especially if you want him to tell people things that you want to be known. But I guess that does raise the question: when you say you're going to be focusing on your blog, are you going to try and monetize it? Because doesn't that change your ability to do certain things if you're monetizing it?
Yes, it will. The financial element will not be tied to any Las Vegas casino.
I'll
So
advertise. I'm advertising.
oh, nice. I don't know if there'll be any advertising, but yeah, it'll be. It's all kind of in the NDA phase now. But I'll be doing it full time, and there will be money involved.
Are you gonna at least redesign that?
I have people
Okay. Okay.
working on it.
Jonathan, will you share how you first met Scott?
No, I was thinking about it. So I know that I met him at an Oscars dinner series, and I probably knew I knew of you, but I didn't know you. And then only a couple of months ago, we were sitting next to each other in an Oscars dinner series. But that was more recent. I think probably 5 years ago, you came to one of the dinner series with Oscar, and you were just there as a blogger. I guess our PR people invited you to that.
Yep.
So I think that was my first proper meeting with you. But then I probably reached out to Scott on Twitter and started saying, like, he was probably saying bad things about the Las Vegas club, and it offended me. And
I would never say anything negative about anything. But
and
I
that's when
can
I reached out to him.
honestly, I would never confirm or deny that he's ever sent me anything, because I never reveal a source.
Yeah.
That is my prime directive, is to protect those
That's one
folks,
journalist
because
thing you do.
that's true, and probably more than a journalist would, because a journalist would push to be like, I can't have you as an anonymous source, and in my world, it's all anonymous unless they say they want it out there, and they almost never say they want it out there. So I value my sources so much. And once you burn them, that source is gone, and it could literally be a VP at a major casino company. I'm not going to burn people that are very helpful, because I have no clue why they share this stuff, to be honest. I think
It's a
they
good
like
question.
to.
Yeah, why are they?
I think they like to stir stuff up too. I think they like when stories get traction in other media outlets, because now the media watches the account so closely. I think they realize it's a good way to disseminate information, good, bad, other. There have been disgruntled employees. I always have to be careful about that, because you never really know what the agenda is, because I'm not vetting these folks. I'm just like,
Just
hey, that's a
reporting
good-
it.
Yeah.
So,
And
do you have like a favorite story or tweet that you've had the most engagement or retweets or?
yeah, I mean, they're just like in the history of the blog itself. I would have to say it was probably when that couple was arrested on the high roller observation wheel. Yeah, that one was it was funny, and it was sexy, and it was sad, because it ultimately ended very badly for the guy. He was actually robbed and killed.
Remind me what happened? What?
So the couple was arrested for attempting lewd acts. They would have gotten away with the sexual acts if they hadn't been smoking. They told them multiple times to stop smoking because it's a hazard. So now security's involved, and now they're watching as people are starting to be sexual. So that was the more salacious element of the story, which I played up, of course. So they're arrested. They find out that the woman is not the man's, they're not together. The man was in Vegas to get married to another woman, was hooking up on the high roller.
Wow.
They then go back to their lives. He got back with his fiance, who was a stripper. He goes to the club. They go on TV and make money, $4,000 for being on a TV show about this incident. Guys from the club rob and murder him. So right up to the murder part, it was a hilarious story. The reason it was so great was a year before, I had written an article, How to Have Sex on the High Roller. So when that happened, international publications, everybody was covering the story because it was interesting, but not everybody had a story a year before saying how to have sex and not get caught on the high roller. So that one, as far as most memorable, that was it. I'm kind of known for more kind of jumping on stuff that's like people being nickeled and dimed, fees and things. I'm finding them. People share them with me all the time. I broke the story about the COVID fee at a couple of the restaurants.
What is
Those
that?
kind of stories. It's a 4% charge. Mona Me, Gabby, and Joe's Seafood, one of my favorite
Which
restaurants.
you like, yeah, I was going to say.
But it's an optional fee. But those are the kind of stories that get people riled up. This time,
What is the fee? What is it for?
it's COVID-19.
But who gets the money?
The
virus?
restaurant
For what?
gets it. For just help. It's like a help a brother out fee. Like we got 50% occupancy in our restaurant. 4% isn't going to, wipe you out. So just give us the 4%. If you want to take it off the bill, we'll do that too.
So it's not a gratuity. It's just profit for the restaurant.
Yep. It's just a little surcharge to acknowledge that it's hard to make money
right now.
usually.
Is that what
And
they told you
you're
when
at
you reached out to
50%.
them about what it is?
Yeah, no, they had it right spelled out. It's on the check. It's on the menu. It's on the website. It's everywhere. They're very transparent. It's optional. You can have it removed. But it's
What did
those
your
kind of-
followers think of that?
What if you're what?
What did your followers think of that?
Well, I did it a little bit differently than I normally do because I like getting people whipped up. Because if they get mad, they'll complain and the fees go away. Things actually change if you get people mad. In this case, I said it's optional. No need to get whipped up. I would actually do the 4% because I love Joe's and I love Mona Me Gabby. I would do it. But people have the option to not do it. So when I frame it differently, that I don't call myself an influencer, but I can influence the level of outrage. If I'm outraged, people tend to get outraged. And if I'm saying, look, optional, 4%, you might even want to do it, then it's like, well, I don't like fees, but okay. So they trust my opinion, I think, it's just over time you build trust, and they trust that they don't need to be outraged about it. So it landed very differently than a CNF charge or a resort. People are still mad about resort fees. So those kind of stories are the typical ones that I am known for and that I remember. But there've been so many now. One of the biggest stories in the history of the blog was when I found out MGM was going to replace those service bartenders with cocktail making machines. When I broke that one, it just went through the roof. It's by far one of the most popular stories in the blog.
Do you have a schedule of posts, or how do you just tweet as soon as you get the info?
That is so nice of you to ask because that implies a certain professionalism and preparation that I'm not comfortable with. Yeah, no, I've actually had job offers, and even at my last job, there were a lot of people very concerned with the scheduling. At Caesars, it was a big deal. Fremont Street, could you do an editorial calendar? And I said, you either get me, you either get the unicorn, or you get an editorial schedule. Which do you prefer? And they hated it, and they let me do my thing. It didn't really work out at Caesars because overall they were uncomfortable with blogging because it was a little too real, the way I wanted to do it. But at FSC, they just let me do my thing, and now I'm not. Yeah, if anybody suggests editorial calendars, I'm just like, that's not how I work. I wing it.
Yeah, but that's what people relate to that. It's your honesty, it's refreshing, it's spur of the moment, it's candid, it's not planned.
But like in a publication, I get that you need to do that, especially if you have multiple contributors, because you might have duplicate content. But in my world, I'm the only person, so it's just kind of like what's top of mind. Sometimes I gauge what I'm going to write about from Twitter, because if something gets good attention in Twitter, then I'm like, I better do a full story about it. But a lot of that stuff never makes it to the actual blog. There is some thinking behind. There is some strategy behind it, but it's not regimented like that or set. And if I have to do that, it's like it's tying a hand behind my back, really, because the stuff that I hate is like seasonal crap. Like, I'm not writing a St. Patty's Day anything. I'm not doing a New Year's Eve anything unless it's 10 ways to have sex in a high roller on New Year's Eve. Like, I'll do that kind of stuff. But that's the kind of corporate crap. It's just white noise. So I'm very much against white noise. I'm going to do a twist on something. I'm going to do kind of something unexpected. And it's hard to do for me. I don't know, something funny today, if I put it out, schedule it out 2 weeks from now, I wake up that day, I'm like, there's nothing, I don't see the humor in it. So I have to kind of get it out. I have to get it out of me. And it tends to work. There's probably better ways to do it, but I just have no time for that. I don't, my brain doesn't function that way. It's all one side of the brain. It's not the professional, mature side.
What do you think of all the changes happening downtown?
So that's a great question, because Circa, of course, is beautiful. I think it's going to be great for downtown. I'm going to personally enjoy it, but I think longtime downtown folks are concerned that if you get something a little fancy down here, maybe even fancier than Golden Nugget, the price of drinks is higher now than it was before the D, right?
Yeah.
So because you've got really smart business professionals, some of those concerns are just related to the fancier it gets, it's more like the Strip. This is a Strip quality endeavor that people are concerned that the value is going to slip. And I understand business as much as I do fun, which is not very much. But I understand that the difference between an $8 drink and a $12 drink that moves the needle in terms of revenue.
Especially if you're having 10 drinks a night.
Well, I don't know anybody who would do that, but theoretically. But, I think, and Derek, he has kind of a sensibility that he understands why people come here to begin with. That's his whole business, is understanding your customers just as you understand the customer that's coming in. And so I like the changes, but there's always that kind of nagging feeling of just don't change it too much. And I hear that quite a bit online of like, you like the changes, you like that things are cleaner, you like that things don't smell as much, everything with Fremont East and everything else it's positive, but don't change it too much, because that grittiness is part of it. I'm all for getting rid of some of the buskers, but you don't want to get rid of all the buskers. You want to get rid of the crappy buskers.
So you mean we should keep Greyhound to keep the grittiness? Certain
grit doesn't add to the experience.
that falls into that category.
There's just a sensibility of downtown. It's more humble. It just feels more real. And people, you'll walk in and that dealer recognizes you. Try having that happen at these frickin' sprawling resorts. They do a lot of great things really well, but that's something that it can never change about downtown, or downtown is just doomed. It doesn't matter how many canopies and light shows and pretty things you put up. If you don't have that kind of vibe when you come downtown, what's the point? The people, the fact that some of these people have been working downtown for longer than most people have been alive. There are cocktail waitresses downtown who have been here since there was barely a downtown, and they are still working.
When I got my gaming license and became the CEO here, there was somebody who had worked at the bar longer than I'd been alive.
Oh my God.
True story.
I mean, we have people here that have met Jackie Gone and have met you and have met everybody through the way, and they have stories, and they met their kids, and they know their families. Downtown is that way.
It seems, Scott, though, that what you're saying is people still want that value, and value comes in different shapes and sizes, right? So you mentioned price of drinks. There's obviously resort fees downtown. There's paid parking downtown, things that people despise. But then there's also, in my mind, if you look at what's happened down here in the last couple of years, let's say the last 4 years, there's been so much improvement in all these places. When I first came in 2007, what I know was happening was people were coming downtown from the Strip to see the light show, to see the old neon. They would visit, but then they would leave because there wasn't nice steakhouses. There wasn't nice pools. There weren't nice hotel rooms. And as all these operators, ourselves included, have invested and done all these things, there has to be a reason for doing that. It can't just be the same business levels you had in 2015, but now you're much nicer. And so I think there's a trade-off between how do you justify the nice restaurants, the huge new hotels across the street, and still give people that value. And I think I don't know that enough people understand the gaming value. You know, do people really understand why single zero roulette's better than double zero roulette?
Yep.
No. Do people really understand? Many people do, but the masses do not understand. You see lines for the 000 roulette because they want to hit their favorite logo,
Yep.
as opposed to, well, single zero roulette's much
Yeah.
better.
Or a lower minimum. That's usually with a 000 roulette. It's because it's sitting right next to another table with 00, and the minimums are lower. So and I get into these fights all the time because a recreational player who's here to play roulette 3 hours could not care less how many zeros are on the frickin' table. They don't care about 6-5, 3-2. If you're a professional gambler, go find your best. The typical visitor and people who call them dumb, they don't get it. They don't get that. That's not why they're here. Anybody who gambles to make money is probably a fool. That's not the best way to make money. There's a gamble involved, and the edge is not really yours. Good luck finding a game where, anyway, that perception of people being foolish or, downtown is really kind of the last bastion of some of those good gambles.
Yep.
And that perception is really important. The perception of downtown is really important, and it's changed. And I can tell you when it changed a lot, it had to do with investment. And yes, things have to be paid for. I'm responsible for it. So I started at Fremont Street Experience 5 years ago doing social media. There are people who tell me all the time, I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek, but not really. Tony Shea, he probably did a few things. Jonathan, he helped. Everybody helped. But the perception of downtown, it's exactly what you're talking about. They would come down, they would see it or smell it, they would not be happy, and they go right back to the Strip. But the perception, I've helped people understand what there is down here every day, hammering it home of like, this is not the downtown you have known. There is new stuff, but it's not super fancy, so you can still find a value. Like I don't think I should receive far more acknowledgement for having
more credit.
Really, yeah.
You're basically behind Oscar, the single reason why downtown is great.
Thank you.
Finally.
Hey,
That's
recorded.
Oscar did a couple of things too, but really, let's talk about my contribution to the.
Would you run for mayor?
I've been asked about that. It's got to be the most boring job in the world.
Not if you can handle pandemics and other things like that.
Yeah, but you like attention.
How often do you get a pandemic to deal with? Yeah, that job just ends up like day to day being just awful. From what I can see of like these city council meetings, and it's just like easements and all that junk. I know it's important to you.
It was
you got
probably
easements and stuff.
It was probably fun when Oscar was here and he was building a downtown with a vision, as opposed to today where you have a downtown and now it's much more logistical easements and approvals and public rights of way and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, they don't. I don't get the feeling they get. There's a ton of fun in that job. They do ribbon cuttings. Like that must get old.
Yeah.
Scott, thank you so much for...
Are you wrapping up?
No, before you cut Scott.
Come on, there's so many more things to talk about.
What if,
Can we talk about me a little bit? Could everyone just try and keep it down? You didn't even get to talk.
What if Scott wants to ask me a question?
Scott,
He's the...
I like it.
No?
I do. No, I thought I was coming here to interview you.
Well, we can do that in episode 2. This podcast is only going to keep going, so there's nowhere it's going. So we'll have plenty of time to reverse tables. But if you want to today ask anything topical, we can. Not whether it was going to be a Walgreens or a CVS going in the Las Vegas club.
No. People love them some CVS's, but no. I was going to ask if you had any observations. Kind of. I know you didn't want to talk about this too much, but kind of just a general observation about demand. because I've, as a casual observer, and I do talk to folks, it's really a mixed bag. When Vegas reopened, it seemed like a decent demand. A lot of these casinos are opening sooner than expected, but I was just curious for either Plaza or downtown, what are you seeing? Is it bleak? Because Fremont Street has been very slow. I'm a big cheerleader for Vegas. I want to say everything's great and coming back and blah, 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 but the street has been empty.
Just so you know, the mayor is basically a cheerleader for Las Vegas, so you're already halfway there.
Yeah, well, that's true. Good point. I would have to wear a suit. That's the other reason I would not. You remember what Oscar Goodman said
I
to
would
me?
love my mayor to wear a Stardust T-shirt or some kind of.
And I could probably find a blazer. But you remember what Oscar said to me in this very right here?
Yeah, put a suit on.
He walked up to me and he looks me up and down. And it's like, nice suit. One of my heroes is telling me that I'm a schlub.
So
am I using that correctly?
He told me I looked like I need to get a job.
Oh, wow.
So
he's a sweetheart.
To answer the question, and I can only speak for us directly. We've been open a week, and we missed on the 12:01 fanfare. It was a bit to do with the protests, a little bit to do with just the lack of timing that we had to reopen anyway. So we missed the 12:01 excitement of get open and let's have a party kind of mentality. We opened 9 a.m. last Thursday. What I have seen is pent-up demand is maybe misleading because it sounds like there's a lot of people that want to come and have fun. I think what we're seeing is there's a small amount of people or a medium-sized amount of people, but they really want to have fun. And they're going to spend more than they used to spend, and they're going to enjoy themselves as much as they can. And what we're seeing now is what I hoped was the case. You see, people like yourself were talking about pent-up demand, which implied that we're going to open and there's going to be a mass entrance at the door, and then a week later it's going to be in the toilet. And that's what people were saying. That scared me. What I wanted to see was a very slow opening, but gradually get better, and then within a couple of weeks, we're improved, and then in a couple more weeks, more improved, and maybe within a few months, we're not back to where we were, but getting closer. I didn't want to open with a huge fanfare and then come down. And that is what we're seeing. We're seeing same-day pickups, which is a good sign that people are traveling here.
What's a pickup?
Hotel reservations.
Okay.
We're seeing same-day reservations in the hotel, which is a sign people are traveling here and looking for places to stay. Some of our better casino guests are now starting to book. This weekend's going to be really good for us with some good casino guests finally being able to get out here. Last week was just too short notice, which is kind of what we were all saying not to the governor, but to each other, was if they don't give us time to open, how are we supposed to get people here? Unless you just buy 2,000 flights and make people come here, which is a great idea. Or if
they don't say we're opening this day and give people the plan. You said that like 5 episodes back.
Right. So the demand, what we're seeing is people are spending. People are wanting to gamble. People are wanting to have fun and enjoy themselves, which is why we're opening Oscars next week. We opened another 150 hotel rooms for the weekend because there's demand for it. But it isn't busy, and I don't think anyone can truly say they're busy. Although you see videos of people walking through Cosmopolitan or whatever, just look at their room rates, and you can see that it isn't where it used to be. But there is good indicators. July's picking up, August is picking up, and I think as long as there isn't any major bad news coming, that there is enough demand to sustain us, and we're doing better than. The best thing I can say is we're doing better than I expected we would.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah, so because I have been telling people that despite this being a lot of bad news, and especially bad news for casino resort operators, it's really good news for travelers because the availability of rooms, the cost of rooms, the quietness of restaurants, like all those things. There's no lines. It's a very pleasant Vegas right now.
Yeah.
I know it's not. That doesn't help the bottom line. So today I learned a pickup. So you're talking about somebody who comes to Vegas with no reservation.
Oh, yeah.
And they walk in and they go, I need a room.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that existed anymore. That sounds like a 1970s kind of thing. Like, hey, well, let's just go to
1971,
Vegas.
my man.
Gary can probably, he's not mic'd up, but it's probably 10% of our reservations at any given time. I mean, it can be sizable.
Is that common though?
Yeah,
can you
I just
can
said
I go to walk into the Aria and go, can I get a room? Like maybe that's a downtown thing, or I don't know.
No.
I mean, your rates are really good, so I could see somebody just checking online and they're just like, we're gonna
Why,
wing it.
why do you
because
think there's all the billboards in California between here and there, but by Barstow? Because people are driving in without a room yet.
Wow, I honestly did not know that was a common thing.
Between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock tonight, we'll receive at least 75 calls. They say, "Hey, do you have rooms available?" We'll say, "Yeah,
Really?
come on in," because they're already on the 15 coming.
How
in.
do you plan anything? Because you can't, or you just figure there's going to be that chunk of people who are going to need those rooms.
It's like you. We don't schedule our posts. We just let them walk in. And come in.
We don't schedule our guests.
It's a big part of the market, yeah. Especially from California drive-ins. People just don't have a plan. They're probably in California. Decide same day, let's get out there and go check it out.
And then you also have locals too, who just want to get out for the night, and they come on downtown and book.
I think I would do that more often if I knew that were possible. Because I honestly always just figure you're going to walk in and you're going to waste your time because you're not going to be able to get anything.
Well, you think they're sold out?
I guess,
now?
or just, I don't know. It just seems weird to just let people come in and do it for that night. Maybe I'm just really out of touch with, it sounds like yes. So here's a question for you real quick. I know you're kind of wrapping up. So how is it going with like new procedures? Is that adding cost for whatever, turning a room? Are those costs like labor and things like special cleaning agents and those new protocols? Like, is that the room rates are lower, but the costs are higher?
So yes, but the big thing that's offsetting that is a lot of guests are electing to have no housekeeping service. So we offer housekeeping service, but if they don't want it, which a lot of people are saying they don't want it, then it's they don't want someone to come in their room while they're staying here.
Oh, they just don't want anybody in.
They don't want someone touching their stuff while they're in here. So that's been a offsetting. But yeah, there's more cleaning expenses. We just bought some new machines, those fogging machines to spray.
Yeah, it's pretty much a sanitizing gun. You just go right across with it, and it just covers
kind of envelops everything.
Square feet of area quickly.
So that's helping offset that. But yeah, there's more expenses, but we're offsetting that by the fact that we're by no means where we used to be operationally. We got a ton more rooms to sell. We got a ton more table games to open, and Oscars isn't open yet till next week. So all these things are a reduction in expense. And yet, what's amazing to me is, and this is where I've been surprised, is our slot revenues. It's been okay. Our bingo room's been very busy. I think a lot of the local casinos. I know you're not a bingo guy, but a lot of the casinos, especially some of the stations one that haven't reopened yet, had bingo rooms. So that's given us an opportunity to grow the bingo game. And people miss bingo.
I love bingo. I hate when older people look at me, they give me the evil eye. Because I'm not there to to daub. I'm here hanging with a friend or friends. We want to talk. But those hardcore bingo folks are...
Do not mess
They will
with
give
them.
you... Yeah, it's like laser beams.
Do not mess with them. Absolutely.
What? Oh, yeah. Well, I should because I can't... I come up with opinions even though I haven't experienced things. But so I'm going to do Plaza. I'm going to do bingo at the Plaza. And if anybody looks at me funny, that's it. I'm going to flip a table. I'm going to be like Al Pacino, like, I'll take a blowtorch to this place. Stop looking at me.
Yeah, that'll go down real well in bingo.
But I can't wait for Oscars. I talk it up constantly on my show, on the Twitters, anytime I can. There's certain things that you just want back. Mm-hmm. And Oscars is on that list of things you want back, and things that you were talking earlier about, the things that you miss, like pent-up demand. My pent-up demand is I didn't come to Oscars enough. And I have gambled. I'm going to say I have spent 10 times my normal gambling allowance from pent-up demand. Like I played a $25 machine the other night. It was $50 a spin. I'm like, I've lost my mind.
Did you hit the logo? The top dollar? Was it top dollar or pinball? Or I know those are your...
Yeah, those are kind of my go-to.
Yeah.
It's either Wheel of Fortune, top dollar, pinball.
You know those old pinballs are hard to find. If you can find me any for sale, I'd buy them, but there's not many of them.
Like with reels and stuff?
Not the new ones. The ones that they have at the Cosmo High Limit Room, that old pinball.
Yeah. Oh,
there's new pinball, but there's not those old bar.
Oh, I didn't know there was a difference. But I know when you hit it, you notice. Yeah. Thank you so
Scott.
much. You guys are awesome. I want to come back and be on every episode.
Absolutely.
I promise not to talk as much next time because there's other smarter people in the room who haven't
We
gotten to
appreciate
say
you being
anything.
here. Thank you so much. And you could follow Scott at Vital Vegas on Twitter.
Thank you. That is so nice.
Thank you for being here on the corner of Main Street.
Thank you, Scott.
By the way, I don't think this is a corner. There's no what corner are you talking about?
There used
I know
to be
it's
a
on
corner
Main
till
Street.
Fremont Street blocked it off
Oh,
when it was a
so
road.
it would. But you weren't on the corner. Those are corners.
You're right. You're right.
Don't you dare edit this out.
No,
I
I
need
think
this
this needs
known.
to stay. This needs to stay.
The corner of Main Street wasn't really because it's a physical corner. It was more a lyric from a song. But we are considering changing.
But we're one Main Street, so it must have at one point been a corner.
The name is not that easy to translate to social media, so we're looking at a different name anyway,
Oh, really?
which will make you happy.
I kind of like it, but it is the Plaza might want to be in the name.
The Plaza Pod.
Yeah, a Plaza cast. I don't. I will. I'm
Ooh,
happy
what
to
else you got?
contribute ideas.
We need more.
But I like it. But it helps if you
You
already
think
know
you're-
what it is. It's fine.
Take
but-
some time, do like a John Oliver about the UFC Fight Island piece. That was pretty good when he came up with all the names. If you can come up with that many Plaza podcast names, I'll be impressed.
There's a chance. I have been a professional copywriter, marketing copywriter at different times. My royalties are very reasonable. They involve Captain Morgan and diet when one of these chairs.
Lifetime supply of it.
Thank you.
See you, Scott.
Well, that was fun. So what did we learn today, you guys?
I learned that Scott likes to talk a lot and has a lot of good insight and has built an incredible brand for himself. I mean, like I said, I think during the podcast, I get people, very influential business people, owners of other major businesses asking, who is this guy? Do you know him? What's his deal? So he's become a relevant player in this town in terms of his brand and his social media access. And kudos to him because he does it, and he does it while having fun. He's doing what he loves, which what could be better?
It's one of those things where, he came from a different place, not Vegas. He moved here and adapted to it. And, when you pay attention to your surroundings, how can you not comment on it? And I've personally got to do some things on his blog in the back end, and that's how I know him. And, he's really never done it for the money aspect. It's the money will follow if you're just good at what you do. And it's true.
And he gives a different perspective because he is downtown. He's drinking here at the bars. He's gambling at the at all the casinos. So he's down here. He's not just somebody reporting from the sidelines.
I mean, it would be really easy for him to go, oh, my source is, but it's interesting to hear that no matter what, like, he will not reveal the source, and that's dedication that a lot of people don't have.
Well, it's integrity.
Yeah.
It's integrity.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us on the corner of Main Street. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at oddcoms.podcast or tweet us at oddcoms_podcast. Or you can tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jossel. See you next time on the corner of Main Street.